So my name's Steve Pugh. I have something called the Growth Strategy Podcast, which I put out on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, all different kind of manner of places. And what I normally do is talk about kind of business and entrepreneurship type content. And my normal interviews are completely different to this, where I talk to different people about their business and what they do and how they got started, that kind of thing. And basically today I'm going to we're going to call you a pro gamer?
Definitely not. Whatever is less than even an amateur gamer, but yes.
Basically, David is a pro gamer and he plays FIFA, mostly driving games. I'm going to ask you about a lot of different stuff. And what we thought, instead of doing just a normal interview the way I normally do it, we thought we'd actually get the pads out, actually play some FIFA, have some questions, have a bit of a chat, and then kind of clip it up. And hopefully it's of interest. I'm going to ask David about his career, how he got started, that kind of thing. And we're going to do it whilst playing. So what will probably happen is that our live conversation might go on for 40 or so minutes, but actually it'll probably get clipped down to the good bits and when David scores. And I'm sure, because David's in charge of the edit, I'm sure it'll go horrifically wrong.
I'll clip all of my goals together, if any,
Yeah,
and then that'll be that. I think the easiest thing actually, or the best way is to describe the pro gamer debate is freelance videographer who got bored during COVID and found a way to kill his time.
I think it's on you to press ready. All right, so what we're going to go for, classic match?
Yes. Right, I picked my team. Right, okay. Any is the first
Anyone.
of all? Okay.
The thing is, you can't mix internationals. And
Yeah,
club teams.
yeah. That's fine.
Standard
Otherwise,
rules.
my go-to, as it used to be back in the day, was Barcelona. I don't think Barcelona is very good anymore, though, are they?
What's yours? I don't really play FIFA, but I'm happy to.
Well, neither do I. But we'll probably talk about why.
That'll do. You going pink?
I'll go pink.
See, this is going to be quite funny because I actually don't really care what happens. I have nothing to lose.
Yeah, well, I've got, I don't know if pride is the right word, but yeah. So, first excuse is that I always play on PlayStation. Xbox, not my thing. That's excuse number one. The second one is that I normally drive cars around. I don't play FIFA that much.
Well, if it helps, neither do I.
Yeah, maybe that one's not a valid excuse. How much practice have you put in before we started?
Zero, because it actually just crossed my mind. I can't remember if it was X or circle to shoot. And that's a genuine question.
No.
What I always like to do on most of the interviews is actually find out a bit more about what people were like at school. And see, I can tell.
I've edited the podcasts, I know.
The point is, you didn't take your eyes off the screen.
I didn't.
You're taking this thing proper serious.
Yeah, correct.
So what did you do at school?
I went to Bolden Comprehensive School in Bolden. But yeah, the main thing, so as to what I did in school, I liked my music. The main reason that I went to that school was the music, you know, facilities were the better of the schools that we were looking at. Mm-hmm. I done all right in school, did pretty well. I thought school was actually the be all and end all. Until you enter the real world and you realise that it, means pretty much nothing. I was kind of I think because I played drums, it allowed me to be kind of one level above being bully worthy, being worthy of being bullied. I managed to be just above that by playing drums. I think some level of credibility for that. And then went to sixth form for a year. Mm-hmm. There was one of the exams, maths it was, that I missed. I missed that exam because I decided I was getting an apprenticeship. I did business, ICT and maths.
So you actually missed an exam?
More or less, yeah. Because by that point I decided that I was going to do an apprenticeship. Can we chip the keeper? No, we can't. Because I'd rather just be in the real world. And the A-level business that I did, and I did GCSE business, that is a dangerous ball through. Keepers, there we go. The A-level business that I did, and GCSE business, there is literally one word that I remember from all of that, which is equilibrium. Right? That is literally where, the price meets in the middle with supply and demand, and supply and demand, I guess, is another one. But that is a tremendous goal, first of all. But that is pretty much the only thing that I remember from that. And having been freelance for 4 years now. There's literally not a single thing that I remember from any of that. That's came in handy.
So I'm interested, did you always know that you wanted to, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Everything. I knew that I didn't want to be a full-time like musician. Everyone like learns to play drums and all that sort of stuff goes, oh, I want to
Okay,
do
that's
that.
interesting.
So because I was like a realist, I think. So I knew that the chances were very, very slim, and that it was, you know, not really going to happen. And then I thought, right, well, I could be a music teacher. Realised very quickly that I didn't have the patience to teach people how to play drums. I then thought, oh, I suppose I could get into software. This is all while I'm kind of like last year of...
Can I ask, is it X that's crossed?
Yes, it is, yeah.
See, I was trying to cross that.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a music teacher. I thought, oh, I'll get into software and software development, because I saw software developers can earn quite a bit of money, so I thought, oh, I'll do that. All while kind of thinking that I would rather at some point own my own business without having a...
So what age are we talking? This is like
This is like last year of GCSEs.
Oh wow, so that's young.
I knew, knowing then that I wanted to own... I actually have notes on my phone of a 13-year-old's business plan of wanting to own a music studio.
That's pretty cool.
And looking at how much that would cost and how, literally, if you would probably... Yeah, if you go back in time, there will be a moment where I am searching into Google how to get $100,000 business loan to like the age of 13 to buy a music studio and have that as a business, and then I realised that's a very, very difficult business. The more that I got into that,
But
and know
what's
people who
interesting
run
though,
those studios and stuff.
it's the almost the entrepreneurial mindset that not everyone has. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I tell you what, actually, an interesting one is probably. I think my dad was probably a big influence in that, unintentionally. So my dad is a marine pilot. He parks ships for a living, basically. But my dad would always he would like have the highest praise for people who ran their own businesses, and it was always like the money factor. I go, he's minted him. He runs his own business. He's got loads of money, and I think it was like the praise that he would give people that I thought, all right, obviously that's the way to do it then. To do really well, you must have to have your own business, or you must have to do your own thing, or...
You know, it's interesting, just with, you know, the other thing I've noticed, I think because you normally stream on your own, you just keep talking.
I do keep talking, yeah. I try and fill the gaps all the time. That's also the problem.
So what I was going to say, but I think when I was growing up, so in theory, my uncle had like a car parts business, but, you know, one store kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I never really knew what that properly like meant. So I knew what a shop was in theory, and yet he had quite a nice big house. But I think it probably wasn't like, and I did business studies at GCSE as well.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced that I always really knew what it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then even like through to uni and stuff, it's funny because in hindsight, when you're a little bit older, you always look back and you probably underestimate yourself. But it's really interesting that I think that you knew early on that you didn't want to do an academic kind of career.
Yeah, definitely not. And the other thing as well, I had no interest from a very, very young age of going to university. Okay. And I think that because even in sixth form, so talking about sixth form and realising that was quite a big waste of time, as was the following apprenticeships and all sorts of stuff, it was always UCAS points. Do this for UCAS points. I was like, I don't need them. Not interested. Well, if you do this extra bit on the weekend and you do this, it's good for you. Not bothered. don't care. Because I thought, well, I'm going to. To be honest, my plan was to do 2 years of sixth form, then do like the level 4 and 5, 6, 7, and I think it goes up to 8, isn't it? As university equivalent. I would have been very much happy doing that as an apprenticeship all the way up to level 8. On like £3 an hour or whatever it was for like the next 5 years. I would have been.
Stop showing off, by the way.
Sorry. I would have been very, very happy doing that.
You did A levels, or did you stop? Did you actually do the A levels?
No. So I did the first exam or the coursework, whatever it was, for ICT, which I passed that with top marks. Business studies was okay. And then maths was the one that I struggled with. Now I thought I will ace maths.
Was this A-level maths or did you do
A-level maths? Yeah.
Oh, wow,
I thought I'll absolutely ace maths. I did very well in maths. despite taking my GCSE maths exam early to go to Download Festival. I told the school that I was at a wedding because I didn't want to miss Iron Maiden playing Download Festival. So he was like, right, well, we'll have to sit that exam earlier. If this doesn't go in, go on, son. Yes, that's the way to do it. He was like, we'll have to sit the maths exam 6 months early. So I did all right in maths anyways. And, you know, the numbers round on countdown was always that was always all right. And then you got to A level, that was I think I was beyond, I was out of my depth by that point. So, anyways, so I wrapped it all in at that point.
So what did you do next?
I got an apprenticeship with a software company because I thought at that point I was still unsure what I wanted to do. I thought, I'll still get into software somehow. And Baltic Apprenticeships, shout out to them and Scott, he got me a placement. But that was also it was a waste of a year really. It wasn't. We were very much left to our own devices. Didn't really feel like I learnt a massive amount. And there was someone that we were sharing an office with, who was a freelance videographer, and now like cinematographer. And she probably was the thing that made us realise, oh well, I could go freelance and do that sort of thing. So it was in the back of my mind to think about that kind of route.
Were you ever like previously into photography, video?
Growing up?
No. The only reason that I got into video was because I was playing drums and wanted to do drum videos on YouTube. Okay. So I learned to edit and film and all that sort of stuff just because of that. Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to put some, and I wasn't very good at drums, so it took more, I needed to do more editing than actually playing drums to make the videos look good. So that was how I learned like a lot of video editing just on hand through that. So then that was in the back of my mind. Got a job at a big corporate PLC, and then the social media team and a lot of the marketing team come just before April was made redundant.
Okay.
And at that point, I thought, right, well, I'm going to go freelance because I'd done quite a bit.
So what year was this?
2018.
Okay.
So that was July, something like that. We had some people might be getting made redundant and all that sort of stuff. And then come to October, I was made redundant. I'll not bore you with the full story of all that.
Don't.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, exactly. Good point. So I got a couple of months pay.
Go on, De Bruyne.
Go on, son. Go on.
You're going to give me a charity
That's
goal.
it. That's it. There you go. 3-1. Consolation goal. So got made redundant. And at that point, I was like, right, I'm going to go freelance. Spent my redundancy money on a holiday to Tenerife, I think just for the purpose of being able to say I started with nothing. Stupid idea. And then that was that. Then, 4 years since. Oh, what will that be now? Yeah, coming up 3.5, 4 years, something like that, for being freelance.
Can you explain to people what you do now?
I edit your podcasts.
So basically your job as a freelancer, so you do video editing.
So I do, so videography and...
And what does that mean?
For a moment there, I actually thought I was scoring towards my own goal. You know, when you have a lapse concentration, you think...
See, I'm trying to do an interview. I'm not even looking at the screen.
This is the problem. What was your question?
So, and we'll clip out that last bit.
Yeah, we'll clip out the goal, right? So it's still 3-1.
But my point is, so what do you do?
That was the question. So videography and a lot now actually on remote editing through COVID. I've never edited so many Zoom meetings and recordings and podcasts in my life. Mm-hmm. So focused quite a bit on the remote editing side. Worked with quite a lot of clients that I didn't ever expect to be working with, because I thought straight away, I play drums, quite like my music and all that sort of stuff. I'll just make bands' music videos. So I never really set out to go work with like big corporate clients or anything like that. But they obviously pay a bit better than bands who want to pay you with a couple of pints at the end of a gig. So
was that the dream to almost combine, because we haven't talked about drumming yet, but almost combine your passion for music?
Kind of, yeah. So
with video?
Yeah, so it was always a case of, it's always, I can articulate it a little bit better now, but I didn't really know at the time, where it was just wanting to actually do stuff that you enjoy. So obviously really, really enjoyed videography, really enjoyed the editing, really enjoyed music and working with bands and anything that was kind of like creative, or even a bit of a challenge, like in terms of editing and podcast production and all that sort of stuff. So I knew that I wanted to do, winter media. That is actually the main thing. That's what I do for. Go on, he's through. Chip the keeper. Oh, I thought you were going to put it around him. So that is what I literally do for, the 40, 50 hours a week is that. And then come COVID, it took me a few weeks to accept the fact that I'd lost a lot of my retained clients, and was then kind of resorting, rightly or wrongly, but resorting to a lot of like the kind of ad hoc work, a lot of the ad hoc remote editing type stuff. And then because I wasn't out filming all the time, I had a bit more time on my hands, started playing Gran Turismo again because there was nothing else to do. I met up with a mate of mine who we were going to partner up with and do some stuff, and COVID and whatnot kind of knocked that on the head. But he'd actually started a drop shipping company, or through Amazon and whatnot, right? So I'd seen him, and he goes, "Oh, I made $1,000 this week doing that." So I was like, right, well, I'll do that then. I'll fill in the gaps, right?
So this is when so in lockdown,
Yeah.
you'd set up the video and remote editing kind of company.
No. So I was freelancing. Obviously, yeah, I changed a little bit to do some remote editing and ad hoc stuff. But I also, from the start to premise, I always wanted to do a few other things alongside Winter Media. So it was going to be video editing for clients and all that sort of stuff. But I always knew there would be other things that I would want to do or enjoy doing or anything like that. And a few other businesses. So the lockdown comes, lose all work, lose all, kind of having to scrap on the remote editing type stuff.
Out of interest, before you move on is like a freelancer that does that. What was it like when, it felt like you lost a lot of work? Like, how did that feel? What was it?
Horrific. So I tell you what, actually, there was a very good, I just tuned in to one of your live streams at the exact time. And you were talking about freelancing versus brand, and you were talking about the cogs. I don't know if you'll remember it specifically, but I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and as I clicked on your video, you were literally saying the words, a freelancer is this, in terms of like imagining gears of a car or gears on a bike. That smaller cog is the freelancer. Constant, you've got to go 4, 5, 10 times as fast to get up to the equivalent speed, as opposed to a brand who has that much bigger cog and doesn't have to do per se so many revolutions per minute or per second.
Well, just to explain that for anyone that might see that. So the whole point was that if you work for yourself,
yeah,
and you sell your time to do stuff for people, basically you're always stuck because you can't make a lot of money because you've only got the same amount of time. There's only so many hours in a day that you can actually kind of do stuff. Which actually, if you can build a business that has some sort of scale to it, be it your brand or your stream, or for me, I wrote a book or whatever. Basically, in theory, you can sell that book or that song or whatever a million times, but you don't have to do more work. So I think the point of the video that kind of David's talking about was almost that having that in mind. So if you do, for instance, we haven't actually talked about drumming much, but you're a drummer.
Yeah.
You could create a course that teaches people how to drum or how to stream or anything. And actually the point is you create it once and then you can have 1,000 people download it. But that's the way that...
I'll be honest, I thought that was in there.
And so that's, I guess, what you're talking about. So
yeah.
So what next?
So at that point, there was a mate of mine that said, "I've set up this dropshipping thing. I've made $1,000 this week. Have a look at this." I was like, "That is insane. That's what I'm going to do." So I got him to set me up a Shopify website because I didn't really know what I was doing. And then it didn't really go too well. But it was as in I sold absolutely nothing. But it was what kind of sparked I can look at doing other things to make money. I can, set up something that can take care of itself a little bit better, isn't so dependent on clients choosing this or that and, dropping you in it and that sort of thing. Just basically trying to find another source of income or create another source of income that allowed for a bit more stability. And in the midst of all that, I'd started playing Gran Turismo a little bit and started watching some streamers and that sort of thing, and channels that were doing really, really well. A lot of channels that admittedly had accelerated massively through lockdown and that sort of stuff. And so it was off the back of that I thought maybe that's the other thing that I do. Oh, there we go. It was off the back of that I thought maybe that's the other thing that I do. It's a lot more work to build a YouTube channel and monetize it and all the rest of it. But again, going back to, I would rather be doing something I enjoy, because even though the dropshipping thing, I thought, well, he's made £1,000 a week. Surely enough, I should be able to do something, even if it was 500 quid a week.
But it wasn't enjoyable.
200, but it wasn't enjoyable. So it was literally, it took me weeks on end just to go change a title on a Shopify page and all that sort of stuff.
Was it £1,000 revenue, or was it £1,000?
It was £1,000 revenue, yeah.
So just for anyone that's watching, that doesn't mean he made £1,000.
Yeah, correct. He wasn't far off though by the end of it. I give him credit where credit's due. So it was a short-term thing, but it was the conversation with him that made us think, right, I can go do some other stuff alongside Winter Media, alongside all the stuff that I enjoy. And it was off the back of not enjoying the dropshipping thing. Off the back of not enjoying the dropshipping thing, that made me think, right, well, yes, I want to do some other stuff,
Go on, Trent.
but I have to enjoy it. It has to be.
Send him.
For the most part, he's going to be true. Yeah, this is where I start talking. Yeah. Let's defend it. Oh, he's put it out.
See, it's funny because I'm looking at the camera a little bit just whilst I'm trying to talk.
That was, let's be honest.
You haven't taken your eyes off that.
I haven't.
What I was going to say is, but, most people. It's funny. I think when you're younger, you just think, "Fuck it, I just want the money." But as you kind of get a little bit older and you do it all day.
I was offside. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
As you get a little bit older, you actually. I'm just going to get you. Is do something you actually enjoy. I think your passions, and I think what's interesting is that you obviously enjoyed Gran Turismo. You enjoy gaming.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, everyone, even me, I watch streamers. I play Warzone mostly, but it's almost I think people get it. It's a common kind of career. So how did you actually find the process of like setting up a YouTube channel and stuff? I know there's loads of people that do, but how did you find it?
Yeah, so the other reason that I thought I would go down the YouTube route was because it was a space and a thing that I was obviously quite familiar with anyways. The drum channel being the main thing. So I'd been running that drum channel for, probably, I think the first video on there must be from 8 years ago, something like that, maybe even 10 years. So I was quite familiar with, that kind of space. I just managed to get my YouTube channel
Go on, son.
on.
I was actually going for the rebound.
Keep that kept a minute. So the drum channel I just managed to get monetized at that point as well. So I thought, right, do the same with the streaming, and be on to a winner. Basically.
So you have more than one YouTube channel?
Yes, I got too many now. I think I got Winter Media, which is obviously more portfolio stuff, the drum channel, and now the Affinity Racing. And because I'm have too much of a shiny object syndrome, I think is also possibly an issue. I set up Affinity Gaming as well because I wanted to keep that Affinity brand. I thought maybe that can grow into something
Out of interest,
at some point.
Why did you feel it was important to create a brand around your kind of content and videos and stuff?
Yeah, good question. So a few different reasons, because I didn't want it all to be dependent on me. At the moment it is, same with yourself. But when you talk about wanting to replicate like the Peloton business model, and just on the stroke, just before half time, that half-time team talk's just changed, hasn't it? So a similar kind of thing where you talk about the Peloton business model. I knew that the Affinity brand, plus I already had David Winter drums, and I like the Affinity name, which I've tried with a few different things. But there's so many different things that I wanted to do underneath that I knew I wouldn't be able to do it all myself. So the plan, I've not written this down anywhere, this is just all in my head. And the many ideas that I have, but the like the long-term plan, I guess, for Affinity or for Affinity Racing would actually be to be organising a lot of like the esports events, to be organising and covering even like car shows, car meetups, car events, all that sort of stuff. And kind of cover or create a lot of those like car show events, if that was just talking specifically to the motorsport side of things, and to also actually cover and live stream the event. So be the company that, not necessarily Sky Sports or F1 would be getting in to cover that, but for the A lot of the go-karting events as well is actually quite like a big thing that get live streamed, but the funding or the go-kart tracks, because they're quite small and local, don't want to spend a massive amount. So if you've got a contract in there to cover some of like the karting championships, for example, would be like tremendous. Can you imagine that being a job, a day out?
You love driving, you love racing.
I do.
That actually you enjoy streaming, and actually you're not that good at FIFA view than me, but you are much better at racing games. You know,
True
you're not beating me 10-0, which I would expect anyway. But the point is, so what you're doing is learning your craft around how to stream, how to set up cameras, how to set up sound, that kind of thing. But you're doing it, that was a good ball, with a bigger ambition that actually, like event companies, always got it.
Oh, Keeper's kept you in that one.
Yeah, he has. But you're doing it with actually, like event companies get paid a lot of money to run physical events in loads of different sectors. And the way that the world is going is that it's the balance between, it's the balance between physical stuff, physical events and streaming that is difficult to do. That actually, there's a real business model behind that. And I think what's interesting, I'm not even looking at the screen when I was talking, is the fact that, you can get paid to do it, but then likewise when we're talking about the machine and the cogs and what you're trying to grow, in theory, affinity events could be a thing.
Absolutely. Well, actually, so I'm gonna just to quickly, because when I was at my apprenticeship, this is something I should have mentioned as well, talking about this is as what, 16 I would have been, 16, 17. I tried organising, that nearly went in, I tried organising a music festival, right? So that was another, honestly, the amount of ideas and things that I've wanted to do and careers that I've wanted to have. Music festival was the other thing, right? So I'd organised everything. I'd had saved up, I was only on 400 quid a month in this apprenticeship, saved up everything to pull this event together. And there was actually, in the end, the venue itself had double booked my festival, which was going to be an indoor festival, maybe 300-400 people, with a wedding, basically, because he didn't really, it was intentional because he didn't have confidence in a 17-year-old kid or a 16-year-old kid. He didn't have confidence in a 16-year-old kid doing a festival at his venue, so he thought, I'll get more people in from this wedding. So double booked that, and then we had to actually pull the plug on that, which was very, very annoying. But that was from the age of 15 or 16, whatever it would have been, in an apprenticeship, trying to pull that together. So sorry, I interrupted you there, just because when you mentioned events and affinity events, that is something that I've already been onto it, and it was called Affinity Festival as well. So the Affinity brand, the Affinity thing has been there in all kinds of different shapes, forms, and ideas, and then eventually it took under the racing form. So hopefully this one works.
Oh, I was going to say you've done me there. Ambitious. But what's interesting though is that it's the ability to both build a business and learn your craft doing something you enjoy. So I enjoy making videos and I enjoy talking to people, I enjoy doing business stuff, and I'm gradually building something around that. You doing everything you do, and although you might not necessarily make any money from doing your channels and stuff now, you're learning something which actually will really pay off longer term.
Yeah.
That actually it's an investment. It's like going to school. You're just learning YouTube and videos and streaming, and that has real genuine value, because I guess some people might watch this, might not be in their careers yet, or they might still be at school or whatever. But the point is, companies, and I work with a lot of different companies, will pay for that knowledge because they don't know how to stream. But what you're then doing is, if someone says, look, I'll pay you £1,000 to stream our event, you might only need the camera you've already got, your laptop, OBS.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I didn't realise how simple something like streaming was, and the amount of money, the amount of markup that can be there.
But the point is, to anyone that watches this, you might learn your craft streaming Call of Duty, but actually, when you get a little bit older, you can sell that to basically companies that will pay. They might have a business event. There could be a wedding, stream weddings nowadays. But the point is, you can learn your craft doing this, that could become a career. And actually, I really like what you said, that it's, because I didn't know your bigger, wider plan to do with affinity type stuff. I love the way you're not scoring when I'm not looking, because I'm trying to conduct an interview. Is that it's a smart move, that that could be your business, and you have other people that do the events or stream or whatever. But then you can sit on the beach, or you can go to Formula One or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, right? I saw an interview with Elon Musk, and someone asked him, you know, with all the money that you've got, wouldn't you not rather be sat on the beach? Good goal. Well done. There we go. Round the keeper, in.
This could be a draw.
Late equaliser, this one could be. And they asked him that, would you, with all the money you've got, you could be sat on the beach, why aren't you? And he was like, that would be my idea of hell. He's like, I'd like it for a few hours, and then I'd be bored.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'd be wanting to do something. And literally, I am the person that takes his laptop on holiday with him. The past 2 holidays that we've done to Tenerife, my laptop has gone with me.
Love Tenerife, then.
I do like Tenerife.
Why do you like Tenerife so much?
The girlfriend chooses Tenerife. We're going to Mexico. Supposed to be going to Mexico this year. I hate the sun.
Where in Mexico?
Cancun.
Oh, nice.
Cancun.
Go to Chichen Itza when you're there. It's a Mayan village, big temples.
I've
Tomb
seen
Raider.
that on the trip list actually, on the the recommendations and stuff.
Oh, please
Leila's
let me-
pretty much
please
sorted the
let me
holiday
feel
out,
this
but
Oh, money.
cut out. Get in, son.
But then we can
Maguire
do-
as well. Maguire, get in. Unlucky.
I thought at least if it's 2-1, we need to pick a win.
Averages out the 2 games.
I'll be honest, I'll take a draw.
Damage limitation. So Leila's sorted the holiday out. She's been desperate to go to Mexico because, anyways. But I hate the sun. And I hate most holidays, to be honest with you, because I'm not sat doing videos or streaming or playing on GT Sport or doing all the other things that I enjoy. I'm away from my drum kit for 2 weeks, you know. So most holidays, I do enjoy them, but, you know, I just think if we had, I don't know, I'd do a holiday for a few days. Leila's like, no, 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, really?
So
After the 3rd day, it becomes a bit of a chore.
So out of interest then, so you've got your Winter Media, where you edit videos and stuff for other people. You've got your streams, you play drums.
Yes.
What's the dream? What are you where would you like to be in 5 years' time?
I knew this question was coming, right? Because obviously I watch all the podcasts. Got no choice because I edit them, but I do enjoy them, obviously. Knew this question was coming. My answer is to enjoy it. Whatever it is I'm doing, not bothered. Don't care whether I'm still here earning the same amount, still at 150 subscribers on Affinity, still not too sure exactly yet what to do with the drum channel, and there's so many ideas that I want for that. But
I think what's interesting though is that it's the benefits you're getting from it. It's far wider than just financial.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring me down. Go on, Sally. Go on.
Counter attack now, but yeah. So literally to just be whatever it is that I'm doing, to enjoy it. There's that many different things that I want to do. I'm sure that I'm sure that in 5 years, or 10 years, or whatever it is, I will have got round to maybe 10% of them. But as long as I'm enjoying it, then I'm not too fussed. This time next year, I might have been totally sick of getting thrashed on every race on Gran Turismo. I might have been totally sick of working for clients for Winter Media. I might have decided, even within Winter Media, there's been so many variations of what I wanted to do. I wanted to do like full time on nothing but weddings and video and weddings.
Good call.
Cheers. And then I wanted to get into property and for estate agents, and I thought that would be a really, really good one.
I think the thing is, it's find something that you actually enjoy doing, and then people pay you for.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about, because I think it'd be an interesting clip for YouTube, chasing down bad debts, just for anyone that, don't mention names.
Chasing down, right, okay, yeah, clients who don't play.
What happens, you've had it.
I've nearly been on, I nearly ended up on Judge Rinder, chasing a client, sent, both invoices, then it went to CCJs, and all that sort of stuff, and nearly ended up in small claims court, but the company was a limited company, so it got shut.
So this is where basically someone had hired you to do some stuff.
Yeah.
And they just never paid you.
Never paid me, and I've had a few. That's been the only one where I haven't been paid. The rest have been a case of just waiting a very, very long time. So the biggest advice for freelancers that a few friends of mine that started even video freelancing as well. The biggest advice that I've given them is, for a start, understand that most companies, bigger companies, the ones that you actually want to work with, will be a 60-day payment term. Accept and understand that it's going to be, your work, you're not getting paid for until like 2 months down the line.
See,
For a
I
start,
think
and try and
almost,
set yourself up to be, financially stable to counteract all of that.
like for me in the companies and when I've hired people, I don't think it has to be that way. It depends on who you speak to. But almost, one of the things I guess for anyone that is newer to business, everyone knows about price.
Yeah.
So it's almost where, okay, I will video your podcast for 200 quid. I'm just picking figures. But one of the other things to always consider is actually, it's really important to businesses, not just the price, but when they have to pay you. So traditionally, say if you make PlayStation controllers, Xbox or Microsoft might buy these off you for 50 quid. Actually, they sell for 50 quid. They might buy them off you for 10 quid.
Yeah.
But actually, if they can get their product off you, take it to the shop and sell it, if they can get away with paying you after they've sold it, it's much better for them. You sneaking in on my dude. Basically, that's how business works. So some people like being able to pay late or, over longer periods, like 60 days. But most people, especially if you're starting out, just tell them, look, my payment terms are 7 days.
Yeah.
And actually just make it clear that actually that's how you need to be paid because you need the cash. But I would just ask, don't accept just because someone says to you, oh no, we pay on 60. We'll say, well, actually, based on that, I can't do the work, but I can do it on 7 or I can do it on 30. But the point is never be afraid to actually to argue back. And that just comes with confidence and experience.
Well, it's a very, very good point. And now I'm at a point where, and it's taken 4 years, where I'm going to say that I would say that. I still don't know if I would. It might depend on the client, but for the most part, I would say I can't do that, or I'm not happy about
As
that.
a business coach and a friend, I would say definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was the conversation that I had with someone earlier today. It's a confidence thing, and it's almost, a lot of businessy type stuff is just having the confidence to stand up for yourself and believe in yourself. I think is really important. A lot of people second guess it, or they think, oh, because this like younger and the person you're talking to is older, that must be correct. And I'm telling you, it's not.
Yeah. Well, a big thing. This is only a realization after a conversation a few weeks ago, is that even now still I struggle to say no to work. Right. So if someone goes, can you do this video, and then they turn around and go, the budget's really, really small. And this and this and this, and I think, well, it's going to be a few days work. I still look at it objectively of going, if I say no to this, I'm now down 300 quid.
Okay.
Right, which is obviously the wrong way to look at it, and it's taken and I still haven't quite got out of it. I'm getting out of the habit or out of that mindset. But when I very first started, because I had clients that didn't pay invoices for a start, and all that sort of stuff, and a bit of a shaky start, I kind of just absolutely embedded this sort of don't say no at all costs.
I think the big thing around that, so when you're choosing to whether do work or turn down work or whatever, it depends how busy you are. So again, if you have loads of spare capacity, fair enough doing the cheaper job because actually you need the money. As where if you're already you're happy with the amount of money you've got, you're happy with the lifestyle, you're busy, to be honest, at that point you can actually, if you want, that's when you can put your price up.
Yeah.
Because you don't need the work, but if they're willing to pay you 600 quid, not 300 quid, you'd then do it.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of dynamic pricing. But if you've got the money and you're desperate for work, I get how you do it. But so out of interest then, because I'm going to try and wrap up the interview for the end of the third game.
Okay.
And it works.
Good luck, but okay.
So actually, I really like the idea of the big picture and what you got, and actually the thought of building a bigger affinity brand.
Yeah.
And actually, I like the idea of events because I know we'd spoke about that can still be related to driving or gaming or whatever, but actually just general events and streaming, I think is actually quite a good kind of idea. And I think that's it's not a business plan, but it's a good idea.
I'll get round to it eventually. It's one of those things where, I mentioned like shiny object syndrome, right? So I have that many different stupid ideas, some of them are all right. Whatever the idea is, now I've learned to sit on it for 3 months, right? Okay. And I might never think of that idea again. I might write it down in Trello or something like that, just so if I've thought of something quite specific. And that Trello board that I have set up, hopefully, which sounds bizarre to say, is where my ideas go to die.
Well, see,
Right.
I use, but only because I'm old, I use a book.
Yeah.
I've got a special, so I have a book which was a workbook thing. Sorry, someone's going to watch this stream back and see my player just running off. Sam got Scooby-Doo. But so I use a book to keep a hold of my ideas, and it's just a great way to track them. That hopefully, he's pulled back. Come on, go on, son, go on, son.
Oh, nearly had the lead.
So no, but I think it's a good idea. But I think one of the mistakes that a lot of people make, and you do see this a lot, is you chase too many ideas.
Yeah.
So it's almost where, fair enough, explore the ideas. It could be drumming, it could be streaming, it could be video production, anything. But at a certain point, see which one both you enjoy more, but also look and see what people actually pay for, and then just find a balance on that kind of thing. It's very easy to, good goal. So basically, if you chase 5 different things, you're never going to be world class at any of them because you're doing too much. So it's about finding. Yeah. So one of the questions, which I know you know, which is kind of coming, I think this is really useful just to kind of, I'd learn from it, but actually someone might watch it. What's the best piece of advice you ever had?
So it comes from, it's Gary Vee, right? Now I know a lot of people have mixed opinions about Gary Vee, don't they? But that guy to me is an absolute hero. Okay. And when I was going through a bit of where we'd been given the notice about, potential redundancies, and I didn't really want to be at that old job, I'd actually just discovered Gary Vee at that point. And one of the biggest things that I realized, is the quote that I live by is that you can always get another bullshit job, right? So you can always go and try the stuff, go and just give it a bash. Because what I realized as well is that, my freelancing thing could have gone much worse than it did. I could have still went and got a job and then started it again. The good thing about service-based is that it's low barrier to entry, bar equipment, but you can always start from more or less nothing. So that's always something that I always remember. So now I'm no longer fearful, I guess, of trying the new things, and if they go wrong, they go wrong. But just to actually to enjoy what you're doing, to do what you love. If you can carve a passion in a business, if you can carve a business out of your passion, then you're onto a winner. Because for me, it was video production, just generally speaking, and I have zero issues, and I actually prefer to be working 60 hours a week doing
something you love,
doing what I love. Plus the time spent on Affinity, plus the time spent on drums, plus the whatever, and quite zero issues on spending 60, 70, 80 hours a week doing that, because there's literally nothing else that I would rather be doing. Which is why holidays for me and all that sort of stuff I've not really got much interest in, because a holiday to me, my Mondays are no longer work. I say I no longer work, but I'm in the office for 12 hours recording a week's worth of content for Affinity. So that's the
I think it's a really good, it's so true that with what I would caveat it with is that just manage your downside. So for instance, absolutely 100% start up as a video producer, whatever you want, a baker, anything. But just if you can, do it without taking on too much debt. Just so if it does go tits up, it doesn't take you down, that kind of thing. But it's so true that, and the funny thing is most people that have an inclination to maybe one day do their own business or do their own thing, they would actually both make really good employees because they're generally quite creative and stuff. And you are 100% correct. If it all goes tits up and it just doesn't work out, you can easily get another job with a lot of people. And then even if you go for the job interview and they say, what have you done for the last 3 years? You can happily say, go on, son, he's empty.
Defending that one. Oh, save.
And just say, look, I did this, but it didn't work out, but I learned a lot from it. I think that's cool.
100%.
And then the other question I like to ask people is that if you were to give advice to young David Winter, so give advice to yourself at any point in your career, could be at school when you weren't really feeling A-levels or whatever, or even now, or even last week, or maybe you when you'd set up and that guy didn't pay you and whatever. What advice would you give yourself, your younger self?
Well, first of all, to the time when he didn't pay me, realise that wasn't the be-all and end-all, because I spent so long chasing it that it actually cost me more money than it was ever going to be worth. But the main thing is actually what I've learned pretty much, I would say, in the last year is don't underestimate the power of efficiency and don't underestimate the power of consistency. Because the biggest thing which comes off the back of having done the streams was obviously already had all of the equipment that I needed to do the streaming because I was doing it for clients. But I was using that same equipment. This is a very specific example, but I was using that same equipment. So exactly what we talked about when we were setting all this up, the time that it took, is that if you're going to do that every single time, you know, the 3 hours that you're going to do a stream, is it worth the 1 hour of setting up time before every stream? Probably not. Can you reduce that? Can you now, as I do, be able to switch everything on in literally less than 2 minutes? So, you know, Jesus, even that was a cross. That wasn't even a shot, but that would have been a good way to wrap things up, wouldn't it? That would have been a highlight. But yeah, the power of efficiency now is like all that. So I'm not bothered if something costs a little bit more. I've worked like long enough, you know, and got the money to be able to invest that sort of thing. If it was another camera, as it has been for the streaming stuff and all that kind of thing. And then the power of consistency. This has been one of the very few things, Affinity, where I've said, right, I'm going to do something every Monday and every Friday and every Wednesday and every other Saturday and and I've actually stuck to it. Because Winter Media, I set out when I started, I was like, right, I'm going to be doing 3 podcast episodes a week, and whatever I'd wrote down, and I was going to be like, it was going to be obviously like 3 videos a day, 5 videos a week onto YouTube, 10 posts every hour onto LinkedIn, you know, all these like ridiculous things that you think you're going to be able to stick to. And then in truth, I just didn't quite enjoy that type of content.
Yeah, it's too much.
And not necessarily even that it was too much. I mean, those examples were too much, but not even necessarily that what I'd set out was too much. It's just that it's very easy to break a habit when you're kind of bound to it. Not when it's not by choice anymore. When it's, oh yeah, I suppose I did say I was going to. I'll get another video out. Affinity, you couldn't rip me away from the PlayStation on a Monday when that's the day now that I've got booked out. It's on my email signature for Winter Media and everything. I don't work Mondays purely because that's the day that the new content comes out on Gran Turismo, basically. And that is the day that I've got set, and like the efficiency and the consistency that I've had doing something that I've enjoyed has been like insane.
I think I would actually agree with that. So I started streaming interviews and stuff in my bedroom. And actually having this studio and just having the setup where so I stream every Friday regardless. It's that consistency makes such a big difference, and it goes on YouTube and all different places. Just on awareness on what you're doing.
You are literally the prime example. I know there's the odd Monday you will message and say the interview has dropped out or whatever, but literally that Monday is like booked in. The same with the lessons and the sessions and all that sort of stuff. But it is, and I think as well from a branding side of things, obviously you've got yours pretty much nailed. Mine is just, I always try and do every Monday. But seeing that from other streamers as well, to stick with that kind of niche, I know all the other YouTubers and that are in the same space, and the days that they stream, because they are so consistent with it, stick with it so much, even the days that they upload videos, because it is literally that. They've got their calendar set out, they know what they're doing, and the consistency that they've had, you know, the guy that I mentioned that I was racing with, the one, Basic Ollie he's called, the one that got me into doing the streams, he is literally religiously for 2 years. His channel's up to 25, 30,000 subscribers from nothing, and it's just literally been that consistency. But yeah, anyways, there we go. That was a long ramble, wasn't
it? Yeah. You get to edit it down.
I get to edit it down, yeah. I'm going to send you back a 2-hour file. You're going to go, God, well, that's 2 hours of my life I'm not getting back.
But no, I think it's been really interesting, just because I know a lot of people are interested in gaming and streaming, what goes into it, how do you get into it. But I think what's been really interesting is it's how you've got the idea to evolve it from just streaming and how that can be a bigger business.
Yeah.
And again, it's what's always interesting, it's to use the skills and the stuff that you enjoy, but how they all interlink, and it's a really good, clever way to kind of do it. A little bit disappointing, you dick me twice, plus 1 draw. I think, but honestly, that's the first time I've played FIFA in a long time. But the thing is, this was still a more fun, different way to do it than a traditional kind of interviews. So I've really enjoyed it.
I already said we need to do round 2 where you come to my office and do the racing. I'll send you around the Nürburgring or Monza and do a time trial.
Yeah, cool. But no, I appreciate your time. I think hopefully it'll be interesting, and stay in touch.
Absolutely.